going to move across to Mediatonic. So a big thank you to Luke and to Kat from Mediatonic for joining us today. How are you both doing?
Unmute myself. I'm doing well, thanks.
Good.
Right, guys, all good here. Not so much sunny as it is there, but yeah, all good.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I know you're both incredibly busy, so I appreciate your time. I guess maybe could we just start with one of you telling us a little bit about who Mediatonic are?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks, Rebecca. I'm Luke. I'm from Mediatonic, or Tonic Games Group, currently most known as being the home of Fall Guys, born out of our largest studio, Mediatonic. I'm Business Operations Director, and at the moment my focus is on how Tonic Games Group can support more people starting careers in studios. And Kat, also with us today, is our Head of Talent, oversees our amazing recruitment team that work to fill the many open roles that we have. So between the two of us, hopefully you'll get a good sense of what it's like at Tonic Games Group. And I'll try and clarify a bit of the difference between Mediatonic and Tonic Games Group. So it's a little bit like Dan was saying about the security of being in a group like Sumo. Tonic Games Group is a development and publishing group, just over 300 people working to create games for everyone. So we try to go quite broad. We have 27 games in active development across a range of genres and platforms, PC, console, and mobile. Some of them, including Fall Guys and Murder by Numbers, are our own IP. But over the years, we've worked on a lot of external IP, including Harry Potter, Yahtzee, Gears of War. In terms of where we are, in the UK, we have offices in London, Brighton, Leamington, and Guildford. Outside the UK, we have an office in Madrid, and some people who are based out of Stockholm and Tokyo. Our Brighton office is just off St James's Street, and one of my lockdown sadnesses is that I really miss getting coffee from Twin Pines, which is probably my favourite ever coffee shop. So I guess that's a recommendation for December at the earliest now, but if you're on St James's Street, go check it out. We've grown a lot over the last couple of years, from around 120 people when I joined in January 2018 to over 300 now. And Kat will probably say a bit more about open roles, but we tend to have quite a few. To give a bit more info on the different companies that make up the group, the largest is Mediatonic. As discussed, that's the home of Fall Guys. There's more than 200 people there across the UK and Madrid working on a range of games. I suppose one of the things we're known for is a taste for the weird and wonderful, which you can see in games like Hatful Boyfriend, Murder by Numbers, and even Fall Guys. We also got the Irregular Corporation, which is our publishing team. And the focus there is on PC and mobile games within the sim, tycoon, management, strategy games. Our most famous games there are probably PC Building Simulator, which is building a PC on your PC, so super meta, and Good Company, which lets you be the CEO of a robot manufacturing empire. And we've got a bunch of other games coming soon, including Mars Horizon, which I'm really excited about, where you get to run a space agency. And so the two companies kind of work together on something like Murder by Numbers. It was conceived of and designed and created at Mediatonic and then published at the Irregular Corporation. And then we also have Fortitude Games, which is a studio based in Guildford, and they've got a really wonderful style that you'll see a bit more of in the future. In terms of our values, we're really keen to have a positive impact, empower others, and stand the test of time. I think ultimately we want to make the world a better place and to help as many people as possible grow inside and outside the company and do the whole thing as sustainably as possible. And so we're always kind of looking to make games in a responsible and sustainable way. And yeah, that's probably a good intro to Tonic Games Group, I hope.
Yeah, that was really helpful. Thank you. I guess you touched upon Fall Guys there, and obviously that was like a smash hit of the summer. Could you tell us a little bit about how creating a title like that, which just exploded, sort of, not literally, obviously, but must have had a huge impact on your team and your culture, and did you see growth, and what was that like?
Yeah, so I can take that one. So whilst Fall Guys has been massive for us and obviously has been a big change, that's all come post-lockdown. Fall Guys for us started almost 2 years ago with an internal idea, a team of 5 people concepting some really cool, quirky things, which grew really organically. I've been with Mediatonic or the Tonic Games Group now for, 18, 19 months. When I come in, that team was still very, very small. At its peak for a game of the size that we've made, we still only went up to 46 developers on that particular project. So culturally in that particular team, there weren't any big changes because we grew organically over that time. The success of it hasn't been dependent on the size of the team. We've not had to bulk on immediately because a lot of the content was already there. With any of our teams, they're all individual to projects, but we were already growing and a fairly large developer, people working on different projects. And so that side, I think we've got a good established culture and a good set of values that when we're hiring people, we just make sure that whilst not a cookie cutter people, that they do kind of fit in with the way that we want our business to be and to continue to develop on a sustainable way, like we say. Overall, it's kind of attitude and aptitude for us. The more senior the roles, the hard skills do come a lot more obviously prominent in the shopping list of people that we want to hire. But looking at attitude, competencies and how they fit in, don't hire kind of people that are just doing it for a quick buck, or they want, the shiny magpies that everyone wants to work on Fall Guys because it's the big thing in the market. It's kind of, why do you want to do the job that you do? What do you love about it? And I think that's what makes Mediatonic quite unique in the way that we are and our reputation for kind of, being the people first company. Whilst people don't like the wording of it, it ultimately is, we empower people to do the jobs they love, to make products that people love.
Thank you. And when you're talking about the sorts of that recruitment, what sorts of roles do you hire for? Could you sort of give us a bit of an overview of what the team makeup there is like, and sort of, what you hire for?
Yeah, so not dissimilar to what I think Dan's already mentioned. So historically, a lot of our roles are a lot more development focused because Mediatonic is the bulk of the Tonic Games Group. So we will hire across, and we continue to hire across production roles, QA roles, design roles, tech roles, both, game coding and the server side, and then design as well. And within those, there's the individual roles that fall under each different discipline. As we're growing, and I think Fall Guys is sort of forced the hand a little bit with our own original IP, we've had to then start looking at away from just development roles and bulking out our operational side, our marketing side, our business side of, who we are and how we continue to develop and grow and support the roles. So, from operations, there's kind of finance, there's HR, there's talent, there's, the other side of production, which is the project management of the business side, environment, studio, office management. So I'm not a game developer. I've never been creative or an artist, but I love games and I love the industry to which I work. So I've carved myself a niche many years ago before internal recruitment was even a thing in video games. Marketing side, it's not just being a marketer. You can be a community manager and work within that remit. On the PR side, on the licensing side, which supports the business, the legal side, the products, general management, player experience. There's so much more than development of a role if kind of you've got those supportive areas. And for our team, we've been doing a hell of a lot of that since Fall Guys launched. So I think if culture changes within the business, not so much. We're still a growing developer, which we were 6 months ago. Culture changes from what we need and how we need it. Yeah, we're definitely having to support from more of a business point of view now that we've got Fall Guys.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Luke a specific question in a moment about transferable skills, but I just wanted sort of on that recruitment side. When we've done a number of these talks previously, I've been speaking with developers about, what they can do to set themselves apart. And there's a lot of talk about building things yourself on Unity or expanding your portfolio. But when you were talking then about those sort of business, project management, marketing type roles, what do you look for? What could somebody do themselves to try and build I suppose, a portfolio, but of that sort of more project management, operational type work?
So with those, it's a lot harder to be able to show, right? So again, alluding to what Dan said earlier, because he just literally spilled out what I was going to say on the shopping list of what we look for in people. You can easily show who you are as an artist. You can show source code to show how you code as a developer, whether it be in C# or C++. It's the other roles that take a little bit more thought behind it. So it's researching a business, understanding their product, understanding the industry, showing that, going to events. Obviously, we can't all at the moment, but being able to go to events, listen to talks. It sounds really cliche, but knowledge is power, and being able to go into an application with that understanding and knowledge. And I think, again, going back to the aptitude thing, it shows that willingness to learn. I've got a team of 5 recruiters at Tonic Games Group, and I would never allow them to do this, but there was a study done about 5 years ago now to show the average internal or average recruiter, be it agency or internal, would spend an average of just a mere 7 seconds reviewing a CV. So your CV, your cover letter, whatever it may be, has to reach out and call, I want to know more. And, I would never permit my team to do that because I just think that's shockingly bad practice. But as an overall, you need to make sure that your opening star on your CV shows who you are, shows that you're an interesting person from a point of what you know about the business. We want to know who you are. We want to know what you're passionate about. We want to know what are your core skills. They don't have to be that you're the best C++ programmer in the world, but they have to show who you are as a person and why you want to do what you want to do.
Thank you. And just on that note of events, because I know that is one of the key ways that we always used to try and encourage people to make contacts. We have been pulling together a list, which is on our events calendar, of all of the games events that are taking place at the moment online. So if you do want to still be a part of the community, I think it's so important at the moment. So on the WiredSussex website, we have got an events calendar, and we're trying to populate as much as possible any events that we know that are taking place that people might want to be a part of. I know this week it's Develop Conference, which is normally held in Brighton. All of that's available online at the moment. So, I think there are still ways that you can engage with industry. It is more challenging, and it's more screen time. So thank you for that. Luke, just coming to you, I think when we were talking about transferable skills, I know back at Talent Fest, which is our sort of annual talent festival, which we run over the summer, you gave a fantastic talk about being entrepreneurial in your career and sort of, how you can make your own chances, I suppose. And I wondered if you have any advice for people who perhaps are working in other sectors that want to have a change or see this as an opportunity to do something different. What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks. It was a really fun thing to do. WiredSussex do an incredible job, and I think Talent Fest in particular has quite a wide impact. I guess part of what I was trying to address is how contextual all advice is. So there's a huge amount of variation across the industry in terms of how people got into games, and what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for another. So I think some of the kind of basic stock answer is to build a portfolio of some kind of whatever it is that you are good at. Build a portfolio of you doing that thing. If you want to be a game dev, you've got to put the hours in. The good news is there's a lot of different ways to do that. So you can do formal training, or you can do game jams, or you can do tinkering in the spare time. And if your role is less directly on game dev, then the options are actually even wider in terms of how you can demonstrate aptitude and having put the work in. I guess the closest thing I can think of to actual universal advice is to try and keep up momentum and find some people who will encourage you. The game sector is growing at a tremendous rate, so it's never been better to try and get a job in the game sector, but it's still very difficult to get work. Partly it's just the numbers. There's around 2,000 companies in the UK and about 18,000 jobs, and that number's going up all the time, but very few of those roles are entry level. And in the UK, we have something like 250 game-specific courses producing over 5,000 graduates a year. So the competition is incredibly fierce for those entry-level roles. So it's very competitive, and without a bit of luck, it can be quite a long and frustrating road. So I guess that's why I think momentum and positivity are key. Like if you can keep building stuff, you'll build transferable skills and experience in making things that are useful in any job, in applying for any kind of role. And if you surround yourself with people who will encourage you to keep going and not just point out your mistakes, I think you really increase your chances, because, you know, over time you develop taste for yourself and you can kind of understand about your work what is good and bad yourself. You don't necessarily need people to point out where you've got wrong. Most of us, we need people to remind us to keep going. So yeah, that would be my advice, is keep up your momentum and find some encouraging people.
Thank you. That's so helpful. Sorry, I have to keep unmuting myself because there's some building work going opposite. So I am absolutely listening, but yeah. I'm concentrating very hard so I don't hang up by mistake. I was just unmuting myself. Thank you. That's really helpful. And I know when we were speaking with Dan about sort of diversity within the sector, and Sumo have got Sumo Academy, and Electric Square have announced Developing Minds. I wondered, you know, is there anything going on at Mediatonic to sort of help that talent pipeline and to sort of help those people who are coming out of education or other sort of routes into industry? What are you doing at Mediatonic around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, like you say, it's quite a broad issue. And I think the UK games industry certainly was engaging with it even before things like Black Lives Matter. So we had the results at the start of the year of our games industry census, which UK organised with the University of Sheffield, that showed us that 70% of game workers in the UK are male, and only 10% of games workers are non-white. So as part of that, all the companies that took part, we also got our own demographics about our own studios. And so that was really helpful. And a few of us kind of signed this Raise the Game pledge to try and improve diversity and inclusion in the industry by creating a diverse workforce, having more welcoming places to work, and reflecting greater diversity in the games, from design and development through to marketing as well. And BAFTA actually changed they added diversity standards for the games in assessing the games awards, from representation in the game itself and in the team that made it, whether you're providing industry access and opportunities, and helping to actually create a wider player base as well, because, you know, the demographics around who plays these games are quite not easy to get, because the platform holders are not always keen to share that stuff, but they skew overwhelmingly male as well. And so, you know, there's a sense across the industry that we need to do better. There have been amazing initiatives from advocacy groups from the last few years, and even other studios. So, like you mentioned, Creative Assembly's Legacy Project, Sumo Academy, Electric Square, and, you know, the Chinese Room. I was just chatting to Dan before we started this call, because they introduced an internship scheme specifically to provide new opportunities for underrepresented groups. And so they're kind of engaging with that, and that's something definitely we're keen to do. We've been partnering with a charity called Intergames. So over the summer they ran SideQuest, which was a project to get people making games. They had briefs from different companies across the industry, and you could kind of get a little bit of support and encouragement making a game. And the Video Game Ambassadors program, which is Intergames and Yuki, which basically pairs up education and industry. So different people in different studios that are interested in going and doing careers talks can then get paired with opportunities. You know, as I said earlier, at Tonic Games Group, we have this kind of then
Sorry, I think we lost you just for a second there. You said, at Mediatonic, we have this, and then you froze, like you left us on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, my screen all flicked black, and I was like, oh gosh, I've really gone and done it now. Well, no, I was just saying earlier that we believe that games are for everyone. And so we need to kind of show that in terms of the opportunities we create. So next year, we're looking to take on a much larger number of graduate level internships than we've ever done before. We're hoping to put out some like free video tutorials to introduce people who maybe have a bit of experience making games into what it's like to do that as part of a wider team. And like I say, partnering with people like Intergames and video game ambassadors to address the areas that we're not best placed to address directly as a game studio. But yeah, so lots planned.
And I think just when you mentioned Intergames then, I know when Kat was talking about the wide variety of roles that there are in the games industry, I know on the Intergames website, they've got a fantastic breakdown of all the different types of roles that there are available in the games industry, what you need to get into those roles, and interviews with people who've done that. So I think that's a really great resource. I know that we've got a few graduates on the call that are sort of asking for some more sort of details of the types of roles that are available. So I think that's a great
yeah, check out Intergames, great resource
for that. Thank you both very much. That was really, really helpful. I'm just checking my notes. I've got a few questions that I'm going to sort of from the audience that I'd like to sort of pull back Dan to help answer. But I think for now, that was massively helpful. Thank you both very, very much.